Resurrecting an iconic brand is always a very risky affair, and the stakes are that much higher when we are talking about the Suzuki Katana, a motorcycle that could be arguably credited for giving birth to the present-day superbikes. With its rectangular headlight and triangular fairing, it represented a disruptive departure from the conservative design language that dawned every other Japanese superbike. And from the moment it was launched in 1982, the Katana became a movement, a revolution that changed the face of motorcycling for good. And that's what makes the 2022 Suzuki Katana all the more impressive. While the original Katana made you appreciate beauty in the imperfect, impermanent and incomplete through its wabi-sabi inspired design, the new Katana blends together the past and the present in a timeless concoction. In my books, this is the best modern-day rendition of an icon that preserves its signature boxy styling while infusing a new design language that is equally future-proof. And completing the package is the revered long-stroke inline-4 K5 motor, best known for this. There are a few things that can better this intoxicating induction howl we have come to love on the GSX S1000 as you tap into the familiar 150 horses and 106 Nm of torque. But on this one, the peak power comes in about 1000 RPMs earlier, and you also get a bigger rear sprocket. So you have two more teeth at the back to add more fuel to the already explosive mid-range. Firepower, best experience with this buttery smooth bi-directional quick shifter and the safety net of the 5-level traction control designed to save your trip to the moon. But the biggest improvement in my books is down to the 3 riding modes which have been introduced, because even now in mode A, despite the new throttle bodies and the updates to the mapping as well as the ignition, the throttle at the first touch is still quite sensitive, a problem which has plagued the GSX S1000 since its inception. But now when you slot it in mode B, the throttle is half as snatchy as you get on it, as you dial in the power at the exits of tighter corners, making the Katana a lot more manageable and a lot more fun. The fact that the Katana did so well here up in the mountains and in these dreadful conditions doesn't really come as a surprise, because this one gets the same chassis and suspension which were proven on the GSX S1000. So once we had dialed the KYB suspension to a softer setting to suit these conditions, it worked like a charm, it inspired a lot of confidence. The only thing which held me back were the tires. So these are the Dunlop Road Sport 2 tires, which are Dunlop Sport Touring tires, which means they don't have the best grip or feedback because they've been made to last the distance. And also it was the profile, surprisingly, which I think have robbed the Katana of its agility, because even when you have the leverage of these wide handlebars, the flat tire profile of the tires meant that I had to put in a lot of effort to steer the Katana into the corners. So I am really excited to try the Katana with rounder profile tires and also ones which are a little bit stickier, because I think that will improve the braking as well, because more grip would mean that you will be able to fully extract the potential of the same braking system that the Katana borrows from the GSX-R 1000. And truth be told, the Katana proved to be half as impressive here in the mountains as it turned out in the urban jungle. I mean, who would have thought that a 1000cc naked would feel at home in the city? But it does. And that's down to the rider's triangle. It's upright, comfortable and roomy. Even the seats are well padded, and the 825mm seat height, especially with the seat, the way it tapers close to the tank, makes the Katana very manageable. then you have the ride quality. So the soft suspension setup, which worked like a charm here in the mountain, also helped the Katana just gobble up all the undulations of our rain-battered roads, making the ride quality nice and plush. And then even with the preload completely dialed out, I was surprised to see that the 140 mm of ground clearance also proved out to be a plenty, because I could scale our tallest of speed breakers without scraping the underbelly of the motorcycle. But it was again the engine which stole the show, because when you slot this in mode C, the softest map, the throttle manners become suddenly impeccable. I mean, the on-off throttle transitions are so smooth. And when you couple that with the lower RPM assist system on the Suzuki, which prevents the bike from stalling, and the oodles of low-end torque that you have at your disposal on tap, and the Katana suddenly becomes insanely fluid. I mean, you could ride this anywhere in the city in the third gear, scale speed breakers without even needing to shift. That's how tractable the engine is. And also in terms of heat management, so the engine never really heats up. It's normally in the higher 80s for most of the time when you're on the move. And yeah, when you come to a stop at a signal, it will rise up in the hundreds, right? But unlike the GSX S1000F, this one doesn't divert all the heat onto your legs. So the saddle is not really that hot, even in chock-a-block traffic. And as soon as you start moving, the temperature also drops down very, very quickly. Where can it be better? Well, I definitely miss the agility in the city. And for a motorcycle which is named after a Japanese sword, it fails to slice through traffic. And again, that's down to the flat profile of the tires. It also has the turning radius of a truck. And then you have the small things like the dash. It is insanely cluttered, so it's very difficult to read. It's also not one of the brightest units out there. And also, I would have liked the clutch lever to be adjustable for reach, just like the brake lever. But I think the Achilles heel of the Katana is undoubtedly its ridiculously small 12-liter tank. Yeah, you heard that right. So when you're using all the firepower that this brings to the table, you're looking at a range of only about 130 odd kilometers. Or if you're nice and seated and calm, riding in the softest map, you're still going to extend it maximum to about 170 odd kilometers before the low fuel light comes on. So that's a very limited range, which is essentially restricting the Katana to a quick jaunt to the mountains, and that's about it. Doesn't sound very practical, does it? Especially for a motorcycle which commands a premium of 13.6 lakh rupees. Especially when you compare it to, say, the Kawasaki Ninja 1000, because that is again an inline 4, makes similar horsepower, has a 19-liter tank, also gets you a TFT dash, cornering traction control, cornering ABS, so a whole lot of capability while still undercutting the Katana by 1.6 lakhs. But then again, there's a lot more to the Katana than the sum of all of its parts, right? This is always going to be a heart-driven purchase than a pragmatic decision, yeah? And from that perspective, I think I have to hand it to Suzuki, because they've done a commendable job in preserving the legacy of the Katana in this beautiful, timeless design, that amazing K5 motor, by sprinkling the right amount of tech for a retro motorcycle and providing an experience which is guaranteed to make you feel special every time you take the Katana out for a spin.